Hi, I'm Zach. Just wanted to give you a quick rundown of how to use bumper cars and the overall event side of owning and maintaining bumper cars. These are battery operated, so they do require batteries and a charging point one time a night. There's many benefits to having this setup instead of an actual electric setup. This can get in a lot more places that the regular bumper cars can't. So we can go inside where others are, they have to be on midways and street festivals, and it just costs a lot more to have them come in. We can do an event a little bit cheaper than them. Whenever we do an event, it's usually between 18 and 2,500, and that's the guarantee that we like to have set for the bumper cars. Now, that doesn't include the pay-to-play events where we're selling tickets and selling rides. Whenever we do that, we do get the guarantee for a set amount, and then anything surpassing that goes to us, or it's split between us and the event. Whenever we work the event, we determine the space that's needed, and the arena is a 35 by 35, and we also have a 22-foot trailer that we used with the bumper cars. We like to have them placed together, so if there's ever weather or anything that we need to get to the trailer with, it's ready to go, and we can load up the bumper cars in bad weather. So with that, we find the location. We use a backpack leaf blower to blow off anywhere that the arena is going to touch, and we only set up on hard surfaces, which is concrete, asphalt, and interior floors. Once we get the area cleared, it's time to get the arena out. The arena does unroll from the back and rolls to the front, so you drop it at the trailer, and wherever the other end of it ends up will be the front of the arena. Once you get it unrolled, unfolded, go ahead and place your sandbags out around it, and also pull the vinyl so there's no creases or bumps or ridges in the arena floor. That will be easier to handle later, and once you get the bumper cars on it, it's harder to get those out. Once you get those, it's not time to air up the inflatable yet. Back up the trailer a little bit more, make sure the door will fall onto the arena, and then unload the bumper cars onto the arena. Once they're on there and the batteries have been placed in the cars, pull the trailer forward, and whenever the trailer is pulled forward, now the arena can be aired up. So whenever the arena gets aired up, it's time to start testing your cars. The faster you test them, the faster you can get started with your event. You need to make sure that they're all working properly, and if there's any problems, get it fixed before the event starts. Some of the problems are most likely the terminal connections from the battery to the cars. It's the most likely problem. Other problem, pedal terminal on the backside of the foot pedal, it gets rotated once in a while and makes contact, which will flip the breaker, and you need to fix that. Other than that, it's pretty easy maintenance wise. There's not much else to do with them. So now that we're ready to start the event, the seats have been put in and it's time to start. Go ahead and let your occupants come in. Get them all seat belted. There is a height restriction, so stick by it and make sure that nobody is allowed to do anything that is not supposed to be. If there is a double occupancy per cart, the people have to sit here and here, not here and here. Parents cannot sit in the middle and have their kids between their legs or anything like that. They have to seated either here or there. The seat belts will come over their arm and click over here and click over here. So make sure you do it right every time. If you skip corners or just are not doing it properly, you'll most likely be held responsible for some type of injury, which is not fun, so do it right every time. Also, once we get everybody's seatbelt in properly and the ride is getting ready to start, we go ahead and give our little safety spiel, and once that's done, if you're running two operators, have a thumbs up on the person not giving the spiel, and that gives the operator with the remote the ability to know that, hey, we're ready to go, and go ahead and hit the on button. The on button is the unlock button on the remote. Hit it a few times, make sure that all the car's frequencies get activated. Once it's going, if there's any problems during the ride, you can deactivate the ride by turning it off by hitting the lock button. That turns off the ride, and make sure you hit it a couple times, make sure all the cars activate the stop sequence. Whenever the problem is resolved, the next time you hit the start button, it will go back into the full 2 minutes. So keep that in mind. If it was a minute and 52 ride, it's just time to get all the people off and go on to the next group. If it's just starting, then go ahead and let them have the ride again. Once the people have went, go ahead and undo the barrier and let them out. Whenever the new people are in, relock the barrier, and make sure you do all three on the inside, and you can do the top one on the outside. No kids or other occupants other than the operator are to be inside the entrance whenever the ride is operating. So keep that in mind. It's a safety aspect that we hold as we were operating, and we just like to keep it that way. It keeps kids back from us, and it also totally eliminates the possibility of any injury. So we keep it that way because we don't want any injuries. It's our goal is to keep our customers safe, happy, and have a wonderful time. And with that, it's time to go ahead and just keep running a cycle. The more quicker you are to get people's seatbelt in, the quicker you can run. So we do have two operators on most of the time. Whenever it's time to shut down the ride, you'll bring the trailer back, go ahead and let down the inflatable after turning off all the cars. Whenever the cars are off, you can go ahead and let down the inflatable, get it to letting out all the air. We don't use the vents, we just use the blower tube. And once the cars are off the arena and back in the trailer, it's time to fold the arena. We fold it into the middle on both sides, and then fold it 2 more times on both sides, and then 1 more time over. So whenever that's all done, it's time to roll up the inflatable, load everything back up in the trailer, and make sure that you have all of your tools and anything that came with you, and also clean up anything that customers may have left. Always leave the area in a good shape. That makes sure that you'll be welcome back there next time. If it wasn't your mess, it's still good to clean it up. It gives good customer service to your clients, and also makes you stand out above other companies. As for that, that's pretty much all Bumper Cars is. There's a lot to keep in mind. Make sure that you keep up on top of maintenance. We always went through and did cleaning of batteries and everything terminal wise, either once or every other event. It's always good to make sure everything's working properly so you don't have downtime. If you have downtime, it's never good for you or the client. So with that, bumper cars are pretty fun. Alright, so here's a walk around of one of the bumper cars. It's got lights, LED on the back and the front. It's got seat belts that go over the arm and to the lap belt fasteners. It's got a steering wheel. It's got a dummy pedal and a regular pedal, and I'll show you more in depth about the regular pedal here in a second. The batteries sit underneath the seat and the terminals go positive and negative. It's got front lights, and sometimes during transit you'll have to check on the lights. They sometimes come out of their sockets, so you just have to take the screws off and screw the light back in, and it'd be good to go. We do use tire shine and some regular automotive cleaner on the bodies and exterior. As for computer, that's what runs the bumper car. You got an on switch, you've got a volume button, you've got a time, and you've got a gameplay button. The next thing is a relay, and then the white thing is a breaker. The breaker is connected to the foot pedal. If anything goes wrong with the foot pedal, it'll trip the breaker so nothing goes wrong with the ride. And then there's a speaker, and on either that side there's an air hose connection for the tube, and on this side there is the main bolt that grounds the unit, and that's important for troubleshooting. Alright, we're going inside the cart now. We're going to be taking apart this. It's a lever push pedal, so whenever you push it down, it releases at the end, which is what you hear right there. So that's what activates the cart, and we'll be taking this apart, show you how it works and how to fix it if it ever malfunctions. Alrighty, for this you'll need a 7/16 socket and wrench. If you don't have one or the other, you can use pliers or anything that would be used. I'll be taking these off. There is 3 on the pedal that are easily accessible, and that's how we usually leave it. Alrighty, now that we have that off, we can pull the bolts out. And that gives access to the back. And that's what the mechanism looks like. Alrighty, so this is an up close look of the mechanism in the foot pedal. It has a brass part right there and a brass part right there, and whenever the pedal is compressed, it brings that up and meets. Now, if the cart ever malfunctions or this gets turned in a way, usually this gets turned and it makes contact with metal. That causes the breaker that's back here by the computer, that one, it causes the breaker to flip, which in that case, breaker flips, you know that the foot pedal has something wrong with it, so you flip that back and take your pedal apart, loosen this one, straighten it back up to where both of them meet back up like that, and then tighten everything back up, put it all back together, Make sure your fuse is flipped back to on, and everything should go good. There is extra wire back here, and sometimes you will have to replace these as there's a lot of wear and tear from being pushed on and off a lot. Get this put back together. Make sure your wires are all tucked in nice and neat. And all the bolts are out where you can get to them. Alrighty, 3 bolts back in. And always do this first so you can make sure that everything lines up properly. If you tighten one thing down all the way, you most likely will end up having one not fit quite right. Alrighty. And then whenever you get it all back together, push the pedal and it will go. Make sure the breaker is flipped on if it doesn't, and if it's still continuing to be an issue, just take it back apart and check that part and make sure that any spacers or any of the insulated little flaps are in the right direction and not making contact with any metal. And that's all there is to the foot pedal. All the cars have a set time of 2 minutes, and you can set those and change them down there. It's recommended not to because some of them are different with the amount of time that each click is. Right now they're all set on the same time. Whenever the operator has the remote, the operator is obligated to have the remote on their person, either tied to their waistband or around their neck. This is throughout the whole duration of the event. It's how you start the cars, by hitting the unlock button, and to start them all and make sure they all work on the same frequency, we usually hit it 5 times at the beginning. Whenever you come across a problem or a child wants to get off before the ride stops, the operator has to hit the lock button, which shuts down the ride. Alright, so regular maintenance on the batteries. You've got the positive and you got the negative, and the terminal cleaner is in the toolbox that comes with. So you put it on here, you twist it, that cleans up the terminal, and then you also use the pipe cleaning brush to clean the terminal that goes to the bumper car. For checking the fluid and levels, take a screwdriver, pop off these 2 lids. Once they're off, there's all these holes, and there is a lip that goes down into the battery. You want to bring the water up to the bottom of the lip. So this battery is good. It's got all the water up where it's supposed to be. If the water was not up where it's supposed to be, we use distilled water. So you buy it by the gallon, and there's a battery transfer tool, or you can use a turkey baster. Just let the water in, bring it up, and fill up to the required amount to bring it up to that lip, and that's all it takes to maintain the batteries. Put your covers back on, and battery's ready to go. Make sure it's fully charged before the event, and that's pretty much where the fun begins. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and turn on one of these bumper cars. So we need to go ahead and clean the terminals. To clean the terminals, we use these cleaners. It's a terminal cleaner that has wires on the inside of it. Make sure that everything is clean on the terminal so there's good contact. This one's used for the battery side, and this one is used for the car side. Stick it in and just turn it around. If there's ever a problem with the cars, usually one of the first things we have to check is that the power is getting good connection from the batteries to the actual car. If it is not getting enough power, the cart will not operate. So one of these lines is getting connected to the computer side of the cart, and the other set of connections is going to the motor. So the computer gets one line and the motor gets the other. Now that the batteries have been installed in the car, we have to connect the battery terminals. So the reds will go to the positive, and blacks or greens will go to negatives. Alright, now that they're all on, we usually do tighten them up at the events. Alright, now that the batteries are connected to the car, we'll use this crowbar to reach back in there to the on switch. It's the red toggle switch on the battery. So, we have power now. And we should have, once we hit the on button, it will set off an alarm, and then it will cue the music and turn on the ride. Alright, so now it's time to shut down the ride. We go ahead and flip the switch off, and then we'll be removing the batteries from the cars before transportation. Now, whenever you're dealing with the batteries, there is a post right here that if your positive makes contact with that, it can spark. So you want to keep all of your contacts and terminals away from any exterior framing. And also, where the batteries meet in the middle, you want to make sure that they're separated and they don't have any ability to touch each other. Then we'll pull the batteries back out, and it'll be time to hit the road. And that's all it takes to operate the bumper cars from Kaboom. Bumper Cars, also from Action Rides. All the information is on the back, and you can also contact the company for any other information. All the bumper cars have this on the back. It has nothing to do with operation. It was one of the first runs of bumper cars, and it was a miscommunication with the factory. So this plug-in has nothing to do with the operation of the carts, since it's all remotely controlled. So that's most of everything that's inside the cart. Let's also look at what's underneath and underneath the front end, because that's also a very important side of maintenance on the cart. So once we get this flipped over, the front wheel is a continuously spinning wheel that goes in one direction. Whenever you turn the wheel, that also turns the direction of which way the cart is going to go. That's what makes it able to go in reverse if you just spin the wheel around. Also, there's 2 more wheels in the back, and then all the computer components and speakers. This is the toolbox that I have with the bumper cars whenever they go out. We have a ground fault circuit interrupter, so if we need to plug in outside and the event location doesn't have proper plug-in for to break the power, we use this one. I've also got a welding glove in there for if I have to work on one of the bumper cars in a certain way. There's grease. This one would be battery cleaner, and then this one is the terminal protector. This is a terminal cleaner. It's used for whenever you put on the terminals. Make sure it's got a good clean connection, a few shop rags, and then I've got extra bolts and nuts and locking washers for all the feet pedals. I've got a few wrenches for doing the feet pedals. I've got extra seat belt, red electrical tape, battery tester, some tape, gloves, and this is the remote that operates all the bumper cars, so it's pretty important. We've got a crowbar which we use to turn on the bumper cars because the on switch is kind of hard to get to. There's extra terminals for the wires, seatbelt material, and seatbelt hardware. There's also a few extra inflatable straps, so if anything goes wrong with the inflatable, we can strap it. And that's what is in the kit usually. There's also a repair kit, so that material will be in here. And also we have a relay and some other stuff that goes in here. So that's what's in the toolbox that goes out with the bumper cars. This is vinyl. It's a patch material that we've got. It does have a dull side and it's got a shiny side. We always put the dull side down on the arena floor. That way it doesn't attract too much attention to it being a patch. Whenever you're applying it, go ahead and flip it over. Apply your HH66 to both the patch and the inflatable. So once you get it attached and it's tacky, go ahead and flip it over, and you can either press it and press it and press it, or you can run some type of roller over it and just make sure that it attaches. I believe HH66 is good to go after 30 minutes and then has a full cure time of 24 hours. We are able to mend on the road with this HH66. We put it down and the cars are still able to go over it, and it doesn't hurt the inflatable to be patched whenever on the road. It's the best way to patch that we've found, and it's what the professionals use from Amerizine and other companies for inflatable maintenance. So it's what we use, what we recommend, and what we have used to repair rock holes or any type of rip that has happened to the arena floor. Also, anything that hasn't been answered in this video about bumper car maintenance, or any questions about anything else that can go wrong with the cars, or any troubleshooting that you have, I've had a phenomenal experience with Steven from Action Rides. His response time to messages, phone calls, and the service of being able to either come out or answer questions over the phone is great. I've had multiple events where I was just having a slight issue with one of them, and he was like, well, try this, and it worked. So it's just little things that you might not think about, and being mechanical, things do go wrong here and there, but it was awful easy for him to find an answer, and also any parts are readily available on his website. So overall, it's been pretty good having them, and I really enjoyed running them. So yep, that pretty much wraps up the video. Thanks for watching. I hope it answered all your questions, and if you have any other questions, either get a hold of Steven or you can give me a call or a message. Have a great day.